Did you know that peer-reviewed studies estimate over 4 million Americans claim to have experienced alien abductions, with brain scans showing trauma responses identical to PTSD victims? That's not from a sci-fi novel. That's from real clinical data, including work popularized by Harvard psychiatrist John Mack in the 1990s. But what if these encounters aren't coming from outer space at all? What if they're a modern mask over something far older? Something the Bible has warned about for thousands of years. Fallen angels, deceptive spiritual beings, possibly operating not from distant stars, but from other dimensions of reality that overlap our own. Today we're diving into the terrifying truth about alien abductions, fallen angels, and a third hypothesis almost nobody talks about: interdimensional beings who have always been here. In the next 20 minutes, we're going to expose key data points from abduction research and neuroscience, unpack major biblical and historical clues about fallen angels' deceptive tactics, introduce a powerful interdimensional hypothesis that actually fits modern physics, and connect all of this to end times deception that may be unfolding right now. Stay with me to the end because I'll share a final pattern that may completely change how you see UFOs, alien encounters, and spiritual warfare. Let's build some credibility because this topic demands rigor, not just sensational story. On the science side, we're drawing from peer-reviewed psychology, neuroscience, and sleep research. For example, a 2002 study led by psychologist Susan Clancy at Harvard, published in a major abnormal psychology journal, analyzed people who believed they were abducted. They found high rates of sleep paralysis and vivid nightmares, susceptibility to suggestive hypnosis, and a tendency toward false memory formation, meaning the brain can construct incredibly detailed, emotionally intense experiences that feel absolutely real. In 2011, another study in a consciousness journal looked at cultural influences on abduction narratives. Using data linked to Oxford researchers, they showed that descriptions of aliens track closely with whatever the dominant sci-fi imagery is in a given era, national media trends, and even religious background. In other words, the form of the experience seems to be shaped by belief and culture. Then you've got neuroscience. Research on people who report abductions and other anomalous experiences shows hyperactivation in the amygdala, the brain's fear center, and unusual activity in the temporal lobes, areas linked to religious and mystical experiences. Trauma-like patterns appear in brain scans when they recall their experiences, similar to PTSD victims. These aren't people making it up for attention. Their bodies respond as if something truly terrifying happened. A large meta-analysis published in 2020 in a leading psychology journal reviewed dozens of such studies and found that abduction-like experiences spike in populations under high stress, that there are strong correlations with sleep disturbances and dissociative tendencies, and that the statistical significance of these patterns is extremely high, well beyond random chance. That's solid, evidence-based science showing that the experiences are real in terms of psychological and neurological impact. But the alien spaceship explanation is not the only or even the most likely option. Skeptics say it's just sleep paralysis, hallucinations, and cultural scripts. Believers say, no, these are real extraterrestrials in metal ships from other solar systems. But what if both sides are missing a deeper layer? Let's zoom out and ask a simple question. If these beings are really traveling here from other star systems in physical craft, does that actually make sense with what we know about physics? According to Einstein's theory of relativity, nothing with mass can travel faster than the speed of light, and at interstellar scales, that's a brutal limitation. Proxima Centauri, our nearest star besides the Sun, is over 4 light-years away. Many candidate star systems people speculate about are hundreds or thousands of light-years away. Even if a civilization had ships that could cruise at 10% of the speed of light, a mind-blowing technological leap, it would still take decades to centuries just to get here. As you approach the speed of light, the energy required skyrockets toward infinity. Faster than light travel isn't just hard, it breaks causality. You get paradoxes where effects happen before causes. Physics has a term for some of these ideas, like tachyonic anti-telephones, where you can send information into the past. It's not just weird, it's logically destructive. Many physicists, including Stephen Hawking, have argued that nature seems to protect causality. So if faster-than-light travel creates paradoxes, and sublight travel takes insane amounts of time and energy, and we see no clear evidence of galaxy-spanning civilizations, then the classic aliens and ships from Zeta Reticuli's story starts to look less like science and more like a modern myth. And yet, the experiences are still there. The trauma is still there. The consistency of certain patterns is still there. So what if these entities are not traveling across space to get here, but crossing dimensions that are already here? Modern theoretical physics actually entertains the idea that reality has more than 3 spatial dimensions. In string theory and related models, the universe may have 10 or 11 dimensions. Our familiar 3D space is like a sheet, what physicists call a brane, floating in a higher dimensional bulk. Other branes could exist right next to ours in this higher dimensional space, separate but adjacent in ways we can't easily visualize. Imagine you're a 2D being living on a piece of paper. Another sheet of paper is a millimeter away, but you, as a flat creature, can't see it or touch it unless something passes between the sheets. Some speculative cosmology suggests gravity might leak between dimensions, and that extra dimensions might be curled up or hidden from our senses. There could be other realms of reality layered over our own. Most physicists are not saying, these are where demons and angels live. They're using math, not theology. But step back and think about this. The Bible has been describing a spiritual realm, an invisible domain overlapping our own, for thousands of years. A realm of heavenly places, of beings that can appear and disappear, of principalities and powers that influence our world but don't behave like ordinary matter. Is it possible that what physics calls higher dimensions and what Scripture calls the heavenly or spiritual realm are 2 perspectives on the same deeper reality? If so, then these beings wouldn't have to cross light years in spaceships. They would be right here in a different layer of reality. And what we call abductions could be interdimensional intrusions, interactions across that boundary between realms. Keep that in mind as we go to the Bible, because suddenly, ancient texts are going to sound a lot less mythical and a lot more like descriptions of an unseen layer of reality. Now we flip to the biblical and historical side and go deep into the original languages. In Hebrew, the term often associated with the figure we call Lucifer in Isaiah 14:12 is Helel ben Shachar. It's often translated as morning star in English, but literally it means shining one, son of the dawn, a being of deceptive light. The Dead Sea Scrolls, copied around 200 BCE, contain texts that confirm these passages in their ancient form. Second Temple Jewish literature, like 1 Enoch, expands on this idea, describing watchers, angelic beings who fell from their proper domain, shape-shifting deceivers who cross boundaries between realms to corrupt and terrorize humanity. Early Christian thinkers like Origen in the 3rd century and rabbinic traditions in the Talmud took these accounts seriously, not as fairy tales, but as descriptions of dangerous otherworldly intelligences. Now let's go to Genesis 6, 1-4, one of the most controversial passages in the Bible. When the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, they took them as wives. Many modern interpretations try to tame this by saying it just means powerful human rulers, but in Hebrew, Bene Elohim consistently refers to divine or heavenly beings, not ordinary humans. The ancient Greek translation, the Septuagint, renders it as angeloa to theou, literally, angels of God. Genesis 6 then becomes a story of spiritual beings crossing a boundary, entering human space, and producing chaos, leading to the flood. This is a spiritual abduction narrative long before anyone talked about gray aliens and flying saucers. Cross-reference that with Revelation 12, where a great dragon appears, his tail sweeping a third of the stars, symbolic of angelic beings, from heaven, and being cast down to earth along with his angels. In other words, a fraction of heavenly beings defect. They're cast into proximity with the earthly realm, and they wage war through deception. Paul echoes this in Ephesians 6:12 when he writes, We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, and rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in heavenly places. He's saying your real battle is not primarily physical. It's against non-human intelligences operating from an unseen dimension of reality that overlaps our own. Now think about modern abduction accounts. People talk about paralysis, beings appearing in the room without using doors, telepathic communication, sudden shifts in environment, and missing time. Ancient accounts of demonic oppression and angelic visitations talk about people being frozen or struck down, entities appearing and disappearing, mystical communication, and being taken in visions or in the night. Different language, same pattern. Let's add another layer from Second Temple Jewish and early Christian interpretation. In 1 Enoch 6:10, the Watchers descend from heaven, take human women, teach forbidden knowledge, sorcery, weapon-making, occult arts, and produce the Nephilim, hybrid beings associated with violence and corruption. Early church writers like Justin Martyr and Tertullian didn't shrug this off as symbolism. They believed these fallen angels were real, they interacted with humanity, and they inspired idolatry and occult practices. Some rabbinic midrash even links these beings to nocturnal visitations and sexual encounters, themes that eerily mirror modern abduction reports, being visited at night, invasive procedures, reproductive themes, and messages about special children or hybrid offspring. Now put this next to the interdimensional angle we discussed. What if these fallen angels exist in a higher dimensional spiritual realm, normally invisible to our senses, but capable of intersecting our reality under certain conditions? Then the crossing of that boundary, whether in Genesis 6, in Enoch, or in modern abduction reports, isn't about traveling through space between planets, but about moving between dimensions or realms. Physics gives us a framework, extra dimensions, brains, unseen layers. The Bible gives us content, who these beings are, what they want, and how they deceive. Now let's connect the dots to modern abduction phenomena in a more focused way. Psychology and neuroscience tell us that many abductions are associated with sleep paralysis, hypnagogic hallucinations, and cultural scripts. The brain can generate intense, immersive, seemingly physical experiences, especially under stress or suggestibility. But here's the key question. Are all experiences purely generated by the brain? Or are some of them interactions with an external intelligence that uses those vulnerable states as an entry point? If a fallen angelic intelligence wanted to terrify and deceive, it wouldn't need a metal spaceship. It could exploit altered states, sleep paralysis, trauma, trance, to break into your conscious experience. The brain scans showing real trauma don't prove aliens from space. They prove that the experience is real and harmful. The cause could be internal, external, or a mixture, an external entity using internal vulnerabilities. What's fascinating and terrifying is how abduction symptoms mirror biblical demonic encounters. Paralysis. In abduction accounts, people wake up unable to move and feel a presence in the room. In Scripture, people fall as if dead in the presence of powerful spiritual beings, and demonic episodes often overwhelm the body. Invasive control. Abductees say, "They controlled my thoughts, I couldn't resist." In the New Testament, demoniacs speak and act under another will. Jesus confronts them as distinct intelligences, missing time and altered perception. Abductees report hours disappearing and sudden shifts in the environment. Biblical prophets describe being taken into visions, caught up into other realms beyond normal time and space. Messages and doctrine. Abductees often receive spiritual or philosophical messages, denying traditional religion, offering new revelation, promising enlightenment, or warning of global catastrophe. Paul warns in Galatians 1:8 that even if an angel from heaven preaches another gospel, let him be accursed. In 2 Corinthians 11:14 he says Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. If you swap the word alien for angel of light and spaceship for vision or encounter, the patterns line up disturbingly well. At this point, we have 3 layers converging. Science says these experiences are psychologically and neurologically real. They often exploit vulnerable states of consciousness. But the space alien interpretation is not scientifically required. Physics says interstellar faster-than-light travel is wildly implausible, but extra dimensions and unseen layers of reality are mathematically coherent ideas. Scripture and ancient traditions say there are non-human intelligences, fallen angels and demons, operating in an unseen realm, who deceive, oppress, and sometimes intrude into human experience. Put those together, and a powerful hypothesis emerges. Many alien abduction experiences may actually be interdimensional encounters with fallen spiritual beings, entities the Bible has been warning us about all along. Let's deal honestly with objections, because skepticism sharpens truth. First objection: isn't this just pattern-seeking and confirmation bias? You can find overlaps between anything if you look hard enough. That's true, which is why we need rigorous criteria. But when independent lines of evidence, psychology, physics, ancient texts, point in the same direction, we're no longer just cherry-picking. The fact that modern people with no deep biblical training report experiences that line up with ancient accounts is at least worth serious consideration. Second objection: Genesis 6 and other passages can be interpreted in non-supernatural ways. Why pick the weird version? Good scholars do debate this. Some say Genesis 6 is about human rulers, not angels. But ancient Jewish interpretation overwhelmingly saw divine beings there. The Septuagint explicitly says angels of God. New Testament passages like 2 Peter 2 and Jude seem to allude to rebellious angels connected to early human corruption. So the fallen angel reading isn't fringe. It's actually very old and very well attested. Third objection: science changes. Why mix it with theology at all? We're not baptizing every theory in physics. We're using broad, stable ideas. There are real constraints on interstellar travel. The brain can generate or mediate intense experiences, and some physical models allow hidden dimensions. Theology, rightly done, doesn't fear science. It welcomes any tool that helps us understand the world God made, even if we ultimately say science can describe the how, but not the who behind certain phenomena. So what's the deeper meaning of all this? If this interdimensional fallen angel hypothesis is even partially true, it tells us God's depiction of reality, invisible spiritual beings, cosmic rebellion, deception, isn't primitive superstition. It's a description of a larger reality that modern science is only starting to hint at in its own language. It tells us human beings are not just physical machines. We're spiritual physical hybrids, living at the intersection of dimensions, targets in a larger conflict. Alien-themed deceptions may be one of the enemy's most effective modern masks. In a secular age that rejects demons and sin, fallen angels can dress up as enlightened space brothers, preaching a gospel of evolutionary ascension, cosmic unity, or post-religious enlightenment. It also sheds light on end-times deception. Jesus warns in Matthew 24 that in the last days, false Christs and false prophets will perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. Paul talks about a strong delusion in 2 Thessalonians 2. Now imagine how powerful a delusion it would be if manifestations ramp up that look like undeniable alien contact. They come with technological displays and spiritual messages. They reinterpret all religions, including Christianity, as primitive attempts to describe these visitors. They offer a new, global, unifying spiritual narrative. For a humanity already primed by decades of sci-fi, UFO lore, and pop culture, that would be devastatingly persuasive. From a biblical perspective, that's not a neutral cosmic event. That's spiritual warfare on a planetary scale. So step back and look at the whole picture we've just walked through. Millions of people report abduction experiences. Their brains respond like real trauma. Scripture describes ancient non-human intelligences, fallen angels, crossing boundaries, deceiving, abducting, and tormenting. Physics hints that reality itself may have hidden layers, dimensions where such beings could exist right now, without starships or distant planets. Put together, the terrifying possibility is this: many so-called alien encounters may not be visitors from faraway galaxies at all, but the latest disguise of the same fallen powers the Bible warned us about thousands of years ago, operating interdimensionally, preying on human vulnerability, and preparing the world for a final deception. That's the jaw-dropping link we started chasing at the beginning. Alien abductions, ancient fallen angels, modern neuroscience, and end times prophecy are not four separate stories. They're overlapping pieces of one larger spiritual war. So what do you do with that? First, don't face it ignorant. Go to Scripture yourself. Use tools like Blue Letter Bible's interlinear to study passages like Genesis 6, Isaiah 14, Revelation 12, and Ephesians 6 in the original languages. See how consistently the Bible talks about unseen cosmic powers and deceptive angels of light. Second, don't outsource all your thinking to either YouTube conspiracies or materialist skeptics. Read serious work on both sides, scholars like Michael Heiser on the unseen realm, and solid psychological and neuroscientific research on sleep paralysis, trauma, and anomalous experiences. The more you understand both the mind and the spiritual realm, the harder you are to deceive. Third, and most importantly, don't try to navigate this war alone. If the Bible is right, these entities are smarter than you, older than you, and utterly ruthless. But they are not stronger than the one who created them. The entire biblical story, from Genesis to Revelation, is God's answer to this rebellion, His plan to rescue and protect a people who walk in truth instead of terror. If you want to go deeper into how interdimensional deception, fallen angels, and end times prophecy might all be converging right now, let me know and watch for the next episode. We'll start breaking down specific abduction cases and asking, point by point, where is it psychology? Where is it spiritual attack? And where might it be both? Because in a world where millions of people say something has taken them in the night, the real question isn't just, are aliens real? It's, do you actually understand the war you're living in and whose side you're on?